The history of every major city has its dark moments, but few are as dark as those that appear in Fallout 4. This is certainly true for the city of Boston. When the bombs fell, the mayor of Boston and his family hid away inside the Boston Mayoral shelter, far to the west of downtown Boston, just west of Fort Hagen. The shelter is a bunker located on a steep hillside. When you arrive at the location, one of the first things you notice are all of the skeletons outside the door. They're all crowded right outside the door as if they were trying to get in or something devastated them right outside. What's also interesting is that you find a piece of machinery, a big yellow digger with a door attached to it by cables. This is the missing door to the bunker. We realize that a mob took control of this piece of machinery and pulled the door off of the bunker. Perhaps a few of them died in the process, thus explaining the bodies. If you head up the stairs to the right, you find a guard station, itself filled with the remains of what appears to be the guards of this facility. You have to access the terminal to unlock the front door, which grants you access to the shelter. Upon entering, you find a long and dark hallway carved through the earth. At the very end, you find a room with an elevator that leads down into the bunker itself. The place is swarming with synths. Presumably, they might have thought this was a military installation since it was so close to Fort Hagen and the satellite array, and maybe they're here looking for pre-war technology, which is the same reason they were at University Point. If you are enemies with the Institute, you have a tough fight ahead. Synths crawl throughout the entire shelter. But if you're allied with the Institute, then all you gotta do is walk around and loot the place. It provides easy scavenging with rich rewards at lower levels. As you get deeper into the bunker, you'll notice that the place doesn't feel like a bunker. All of the bunkers that you've explored so far have been made with corrugated metal and rusting containers and crates everywhere. They feel industrial and dilapidated. This bunker is certainly dilapidated, but it also feels cozy. A lot of these rooms are living quarters, bedrooms, living rooms, kitchens. Everything looks really ornately decorated and richly appointed. If this really was the shelter for the mayor, then Boston must have been doing well before the war to make such a lavish structure for him. In one of the utility rooms near the kitchen, we find a suitcase still clasped in the hands of a skeleton. Inside the suitcase, we find a shelter safe key. Heading on upstairs, there are plenty of bedrooms to loot, one of which is suspiciously locked.
Don't think I can pick this.
At the end of the hallway, there is one door that's left open a crack. Inside, we find what appears to be the primary bedroom of the facility. It has a double bed and a knocked-over crib in the corner. The key from the suitcase opens the safe, which is filled with a random assortment of loot. And in this room, you also find Astoundingly Awesome Tales No. 1, which grants 1 HP regeneration per minute. The locked room on the master bedroom has a difficult lock on it, so unless you spec into lockpicking, you're not going to be able to open it. If you keep going, you find the children's bedroom. At least it's likely a bedroom for children because it's filled with toys, and there's a Mr. Gutsy model kit on the desktop.
Nice.
If this bunker was for the mayor and his family, he must have had a fairly large family. A crib in the bedroom, beds in the kids' room. How many children did he have? In one of the last rooms, we find a skeleton on the floor wearing an army helmet and a guard's uniform. Next to this body, we find a holotape named Guard Update.
Found the mayor in the tub last night. Locked the door before the missus found him. Didn't want her to see him like that. I told her he'll be back soon and not to worry. In the meantime, I told her to take the children down to the utility room in the gym and wait for the all clear. Situation's getting out of control and we're outnumbered. It's only a matter of time before this place falls into chaos.
We also find a key. The contents of the holotape tells us what we should expect in that locked room. And it's exactly what we expect. In the tub, we find what appears to be the body of the mayor. In the tub, you find a radio, and next to it are half a dozen empty bottles of beer. Apparently, we're to conclude that the mayor got drunk and committed suicide by sitting in a bathtub filled with water and placing a radio in it. Next to his body is another holotape.
Hi, sweetheart. I'm sorry it had to end this way. I tried to build a place where our children could live comfortably. You know, I'm a family man, and know our children come first. I'd do anything for them, even at the expense of taxpayers' money. The mob has broken through, and it's only a matter of time before they reach the lower level. As a last resort to protect our family, I give you... well, I give you myself. Take my body to the people. Tell them I died a coward. Maybe they will leave you in peace. I left the key to the safe with one of the attendants. I forget his name. Anyway, goodbye, my darling. I love you and the children so much.
Things are starting to make a little bit more sense. The mayor reveals in this holotape that he built the bunker using taxpayer money. This very shelter, which is so lavishly decorated and designed only to house the mayor and his family, was built with taxpayer funds. That explains why we find so many bodies outside the door. It explains why the guards holotape talked about an angry mob. The residents of Boston demanded entrance into the mayor's shelter. After all, they paid for it. The guards and serving staff did their best to defend the place, but the angry mob found a digger and used it to wrench the door off of the shelter. But this entire plot by the mayor seems rather ludicrous. He kills himself, assuming that his body presented to the mob would allow his wife and kids to be set free. What? That seems very strange. Maybe the mob didn't want to kill them. Maybe the mob just wanted to get in the shelter. Maybe the mob just wants the mayor to share the shelter with the people who paid for it. Maybe they're not really bloodthirsty. I think that's quite a conclusion to jump to. That this mob of Boston residents will have their bloodlust satiated by the corpse of the mayor presented to them on a platter? Maybe that was just the best excuse he could come up with for his suicide. Maybe, like he says in the holotape, he really is a coward. Now, I'm not going to use this moment to make broad generalizations about all suicides, but maybe this one character, this one person, was so afraid of the mob and of disappointing his wife and of facing judgment for his corrupt actions that he commits suicide, masking it as some sort of generous act so that he can get away scot-free. Because otherwise I'm having a hard time explaining his suicide. It seems like a strange thing to do. Because even if the mob did want the mayor to judge him for his corruption, he could at least try to give himself up alive. What's the worst they could do? Kill him? But we still have the question of what happened to the mayor's wife and their children. Well, if you keep exploring the facility, you find what appears to be a gym. It's got 2 basketball hoops, a variety of different balls, baseballs, basketballs, other rubber balls. Talk about a lavish fallout shelter. They've got an exercise facility under here and everything. If you enter the room adjacent to the gym, you find a bunch of crafting stations. And then you find a skeleton in a dress. This must be the wife. To find out, let's listen to the holotape next to her body.
Where are you, honey? I've been told to take the children to a safe place near the gym. Are you okay? The children are scared. This whole situation is my fault. I convinced you we needed all of this stuff if the worst ever happened. Now look at what's happening. All my fault. When you come back... Oh, hold on. Looks like the little one's hungry. Shh. It's okay, baby girl. Don't cry. It's okay. Mommy's here. Listen, when you come back, let's get out of here. Let them have this place. We don't need it. I love you, honey.
Our worst fears are confirmed. This is the body of the mayor's wife. The guard was the one that found the body of the mayor in the bathtub, and he never told the mayor's wife. He locked the door to the bathroom, and then went to the mayor's wife and told them to hide in the basement. To her dying moment, she never knew that her husband was dead. And so maybe what the guard did was a good thing. But the guard's actions completely thwarted the mayor's plan. The mayor wanted his body to be presented to the mob as a way to placate them, as a way to buy his family some time to escape, or at least give them a bargaining chip. But the mob never found the mayor's body. The door to the bathroom is still locked 200 years later when you arrive. And the fact that we find the mayor's wife dead tells us everything we need to know about the citizens of Boston at that period of time. Suddenly, the mayor's reasoning starts to make a little bit more sense. The citizens of Boston stormed the shelter. They killed all of the guards, including the guard that found the mayor's body. They killed all the serving staff, including the staff member that had the key to the safe. And when they got to the gym, they cornered the mayor's wife, did God knows what to her, and killed her. Bethesda is known for not putting child corpses in their games, for obvious and good reasons. We don't find the skeletons of the mayor's kids, and I didn't want to find them. But if what they did to the wife is any indication of what they would do to the children, then I have little hope they made it out alive. Why were the residents of Boston so bloodthirsty? Why would so many people murder the mayor's wife and presumably murder the innocent children? Can it simply be explained by the fact that this is the post-apocalypse? Do people just change and become monsters after the bombs fall? Or maybe it was the mayor's corruption that caused the citizens of Boston to become so frenzied that they would kill the mayor's kids. If so, then that corruption is what led to his death and his family's death. In his holotape, he says that he's a family man. All he cares about is his wife, and everything he did was to please her. We find that out in her holotape. She blames herself. She says that she put him up to this, that she wanted a more lavish place to stay. She wanted more accoutrements, more refineries. She was the one egging him on to continue with his money laundering, or whatever it was that he was doing. Is there a moral to this story? What can we take away from this? Well, the best of intentions doesn't excuse corruption. If you betray your boss, your spouse, your friends, your family, if you lie to them, if you present a false reality, when they find out, it doesn't matter what your intentions were. It doesn't matter your motives. You could have had the most noble motives in the world, but they're still going to feel betrayed. And some of them might want revenge. But I meant well is often the excuse we hear, or even use ourselves. Yes, I may have done this bad thing, but I meant well. I think we can learn from the story that meaning well is not enough. There are a whole lot of people that have done a whole lot of bad things, but they meant well the whole time. Our intentions are less important than our actions. What we do means more than why we did it. There's one more piece to this story. If you go to the West Everett Estates and clear it of super mutants, you find one house that has a crib in it. Inside a dresser, next to this crib, is a key to the bathroom of the Boston Mayoral shelter. What is this key doing here? Where have we seen this crib before? The only explanation can be that this was the mayor's house. Before he moved his family to the Boston shelter, after the bombs dropped, this was his home. This crib was his baby's crib. These beds were his children's beds. And the skeletons crowded outside the door to the Boston Mayoral shelter were his neighbors. We can deduce this because, unlike Sanctuary, the West Everett Estates was still under construction. The houses occupied by super mutants are whole and wrecked, but if you go on further, you find some that only have the exterior walls erected. If you go even further, you find some that only have cement foundations. And if you keep going, you find the exact same yellow, earth-moving equipment that was used to tear the door off of the Boston Mayoral shelter. It wasn't just any residents of Boston that demanded entrance into the shelter. It was his own neighbors, and they ended up being his family's murderers. There are countless untold dark stories like this within the world of Fallout, dotting the wastelands. But when stories like this don't have a happy ending, when they don't have any silver lining, the only hope we can walk away with is hope for the future. Maybe that hope is with the Institute. Hope for mankind, hope for a better humanity. Maybe it's with the Brotherhood of Steel. Hope for a more pure humanity. Maybe it's with the Railroad, hope for free cents. Or maybe it's with the Minutemen, hope for a freer Commonwealth, for a rebuilt local government. Whatever those hopes are, we can cling to those to give us passion to build a better future. A future that doesn't end like this mayor and his family. Thanks for watching, everybody. If you like this video, please subscribe for more Fallout 4 lore videos. I produce a new video every single day of the week. And leave a comment because I read every single one of them. If you like what I do and you want to support me in a more personal way, consider becoming one of my patrons on Patreon. Patreon subscribers gain access to my private Discord server, as well as a bunch of other cool Oxhorn perks. But more than anything, ladies and gentlemen, I'm just so glad that you're here watching. Thank you for watching from the bottom of my heart, and I'll see you bright and early tomorrow morning with a new video.